welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. And I see that the time zone from 6 in the morning right up to it's 10 in the evening over here in Malaysia. So thank you very much for being here. I really enjoy seeing all your faces and having that short discussion that we had before starting. So I'm Mazuki. I'm a NeuroSemantics trainer and meta coach, and I represent Malaysia in the ISNS leadership team. And I would like to welcome all of you to this gathering of NeuroSemantics community from all over the world. So let's give ourselves a really big hand for this. Right. So this is the ISNS NeuroSemantics Wisdom Meeting. The purpose of this NeuroSemantics Wisdoms Meeting is to have a stronger connection between our international society, the NeuroSemantics Institute, and members. And hopefully we get some wisdom from that, getting more wise every time that we meet. It is a platform for us to refresh our knowledge of neurosemantics, to recharge and be inspired with renewed meanings, to increase our collaboration, and to have fun. And I would like to begin by honoring your presence today by greeting each and every one of you through the National Institute. So please unmute your mics so that you can make as much noise as possible, and Michael and Geraldine, so that you can bother your neighbor in the next room. So let me just share screen over here. Yes, we are here for this meeting for the ultimate success formula, and I would like to honor each and every one of you from the National Institute. So let's first welcome the Institute of NeuroSemantics Africa. Let's give them a big hand. Welcome, Africa.
Hello. Wait.
Hello.
And next, welcome, Australia. I hope we have some from Australia today. Yes.
Hey.
Thank you if you are here because it is past midnight for you. Next, it's from Brazil. Welcome, Brazil.
Hey.
Next is the Institute of Egypt, Middle East, and North Africa. Yes, welcome. And next is the Institute from Europe and Scandinavia. Let's give them a big hand.
Hello.
Europe and Scandinavia. And next is the Institute of NeuroSemantics, Hong Kong and China. Let's give them a big hand. They are in another room, and Siu Hong is here translating for them. And next is the Institute of NeuroSemantics Indonesia. Selamat datang, Indonesia.
Halo, selamat datang.
Okay. Next is the Institute of NeuroSemantics Latin America and Mexico. Let's give them a big hand. Yay.
Halo.
Next is the Institute of NeuroSemantics Malaysia, Philippines, and Singapore. Wow. Welcome. And next is the Institute of NeuroSemantics US of A. Let's give them a big hand. Yeah, and being in Santa Cruz is very early in the morning, 6 a.m. for you. So welcome, everyone. It is a pleasure meeting all of you again, and I'm sure you're looking forward to the presentation that Michael will be bringing to us, the ultimate success formula. And it is timely because it is the beginning of the year where we put out our vision, our goals for the year, and I hope that the presentation will be useful for us throughout the year. So the format of our meeting, it is scheduled for 60 to 80 minutes. we have the first part, about 45 minutes, where Micheal will be presenting on the topic, the ultimate success formula. And then after that, there will be two discussion sessions. There'll be about 12 minutes each, where we go into the breakout room. And before you go into the breakout room, I'll also be sending you the questions that you'll be discussing. So that's where the fun is. So that's where I want you to get your minds ready as Micheal is presenting. Think about the questions that you want to ask, that you want to bring to the breakout room. And after the two rounds of breakout room, then we'll come back into the main room for sharing of ideas and takeaway. And then we'll end with some announcements on NeuroSemantics training in the world. So without further ado, so it gives me a great pleasure to introduce Dr. Micheal Hall to present the ultimate success formula. So over to you, Micheal.
Okay, thank you, Marzuki. I thought that because we have a new year, because the old year is gone, it's time for a fresh start, for us to think about what kind of successes do we want to have in this new year. So thinking about that, thinking about the NLP model, I put together 4 steps for all of us to talk about, hopefully to experience, in terms of the successes we want for ourselves and our families this year. So first slide, it's a new year. And so the personal questions that we want to ask as we get started and continue these questions all the way through what we're going to do is, what do you want to succeed at this year? I know a lot of people have set New Year goals and then maybe they didn't succeed, and maybe they do that several years, and after a while they just give up on setting goals and seeking success. And yet it's a drive inside of all of us. It's actually the self-actualization drive to seek to be as successful as we can in whatever area that we're working on. So everyone wants to succeed. But this brings up the big question, what is success? So our next slide, definitions of success. These definitions come from a dictionary. And a dictionary, if you look up success, it means achieving a goal. One of the definitions is attaining wealth, power, and popularity. And probably most people on this planet, that's what they think about when they think about a goal, a power and wealth and popularity. The third definition there is the attainment of fame, wealth, and social status. So the dictionary itself really sets us all up for a very secular kind of lifestyle. And goal setting is all around fame and wealth and status. Another definition is, and this is much more general, a good outcome of an undertaking. So the word success really does not help us to understand what it is. It's setting a goal, it's reaching a goal, but the quality of that goal is up for grabs. So what is real success and what is the ultimate success formula? So our next slide. So asking this question, what does it really mean? I think in a general way, we could say it's reaching a meaningful goal. So that'd be the first thing for you and I. What is really meaningful to us? Is it really wealth and status and fame? When we look at a lot of the Hollywood movie stars who have wealth and fame and status, I don't know that they're all that happy or really successful in their lives. So our second definition here on this slide is it's going after a significant goal. Success is striving for it passionately. So if we apply that personally, whatever goal you've set, might be a goal for health and fitness and well-being. It might be for love and affection with your family. Is it significant? And are you striving for it passionately? So one problem with goal setting is it's not compelling. So using our NLP well-formed outcome pattern, we know that if it's not meaningful, if there's not a big why, you're probably not going to be successful in reaching that goal. The next piece I put in there is enjoying the process. Whatever goal you set, if you're not enjoying it, it's probably not a meaningful, significant goal for you. So those of us who go to the gym every day, I go to the gym every day, I enjoy the process. So success, true success, is learning to enjoy whatever the process is. If you're writing a book, enjoy the process. If you're sweating blood and tears and reaching your goal, probably we need to question whether it's a meaningful, significant goal. So enjoying the process. The next piece, becoming a better, no, back to the first, becoming a better person because of it. So I'm going to suggest that these are criteria for the ultimate success factor, that you enjoy the process, you become a better person because of the goal that you're setting. If your goal is to, let's say, write a journal, and every day you're going to write one page, and because of that, you're becoming more self-aware and having more control and regulation over your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors. You're becoming a better person, then that would be you're being successful. Regardless how much money you're making, regardless of the status you have, you're successful. And the last piece, the last criteria I put in this definition is enriching your own life and the life of others. So you're making your own life richer, deeper, higher quality, but you're also contributing to the lives of others. So in a little bit, when we start thinking about some of the goals we want to establish this year and the successes we want to have, does it enrich your life and lives of other people? So success is an experience itself, the process of going after something significant, and it's not the final result. So even if you never reach your goal, did you have fun in the process? Did you learn? Did you become a better person? Did it make the lives of other people richer? So I'm going to suggest, from the neurosemantic perspective, true success is that experience of striving meaningfully. Let's go to the next one. So here's a whole list of things you might choose. And I would recommend pick one of these things that you'd like to be successful this year in. So health and well-being, fitness, which is different from just health and well-being. It's being fit so that you have the energy and the vitality to live and to make things happen. Wealth, your money, your income, your investment. You may want to identify something that is important for you because it's an essential of life. Family, maybe success with your children if you're still parenting or grandparenting, creating a safe environment for them, having a rich and deep relationship with your loved one, the contributions you're making, the difference you're making in the world. What would be successful there? If you're a coach, if you're a consultant, if you're a trainer, your career, your position, your creativity. So what creative thing would you like to get involved with? Hobby, a project, your spirituality. So when it comes to significant goals that's going to fulfill our criteria for being successful as a person, there's a whole range of things that you could choose. So setting a goal in one of these areas. So our next slide. So of the 4 steps, the first one is choose your dream. So what are you dreaming about? So this is, I think, more than just a goal. It's a dream. What would you like to occur in the wildest fantasies of your mind? So here's some quotations that I like using and quoting. George Bernard Shaw said, most people go to their graves with their music still in them. You got music in you? What is that music? What is a song that wants to be sung through your behavior, through your voice, through the way you live your life? George Bernard Shaw says, you see things and ask, why? He says, I dream of things that never were and ask, why not? So this is a call for dreaming. And in terms of setting a goal, the most successful goals are going to be goals that tap into your dreams. Henry David Thoreau said, go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you've imagined. And so the success formula starts with your imagination and beginning to imagine a dream for your life. So, next slide. So obviously we've got one tool that's really powerful, and that's the well-formed outcome questions. And question 1 is, what do you want? Question 3 is, why do you want it? And if you start picking one of those areas that we mentioned earlier and start thinking of, what do I really want to achieve, to strive for, to give myself to this year with passion, that's significant, that's meaningful, then that begins this journey of unleashing that potential. Abraham Maslow said, when we get to the highest needs, above the physical needs, above safety and survival and even relationships, the social needs and the self needs, he said, when we get up to these being needs, these being needs are going to be things like meaning and contribution and equality and fairness and those kinds of things. He says, even if all these needs be satisfied, the Lord needs, we still often can expect a new discontent and restlessness. We can expect a new discontent. It's built into human nature. What's next? What's more? And this restlessness will soon develop unless an individual is doing what he individually is fitted for. So that brings us to that question. What are you fitted for? Well, what are some of those predispositions and those talents that are still maybe hidden inside? A musician must make music. I'm sure you've heard this quotation. It's a wonderful quotation. A musician must make music. An artist must paint. A poet must write. What a person can be, that person must be. That person must be true to his own nature. This need we call self-actualization. So if there is a ultimate success formula, isn't that it? You and I identifying what we're fitted for, what is wired into us as gifts to us that can be unleashed. So the next slide. So throughout these 4 steps, I'm going to use the meaning performance axes, which leads to the self-actualization quadrants. And of course, when it comes to passion, knowing what you're good at, knowing the information of that passion. So if you want to write a book, then you're going to have to learn and go through the learning curve of understanding how writing works and how you can become a better writer. The same thing with everything, whether it's relationship, whether it's exercise, whether it's health and fitness, your career, making money. There is a knowing that needs to do, and the doing has to come after the knowing, which is why we call it the knowing doing gap. And And so it starts with knowing. So our next slide. So on the knowing side is meaning. So what does it mean to do any one of those particular things, and how meaningful is it? So we're on the meaning side right now, dreaming about some goal that would bring out the best in us. It would unleash our passions. It fits our talents that are hidden. So the next slide. So what is your passion? So we've started with dreaming, and now we're connecting it to doing it passionately. And that, of course, means meaningfulness. And you and I, as meaning makers, we can give meaning to anything. We don't have to wait around for something to seem meaningful to us. You can give it more meaning. And that's exactly what we do in neurosemantics in so many ways as we invest ourselves, our understandings into something. And when we do this, we start to develop a big why. Now, what you pick out doesn't have to be a big thing. In fact, I think that's one of the unknown secrets of this ultimate success factor is that it can be a little thing. It doesn't have to be a great big thing. Those of you who are coaches, it might be, I'm going to learn how to do that active listening at a level that's going to move it up to what we call 2.5. And that might be the little thing that for you is big in terms of succeeding, really succeeding in that way. Thomas Edison said, if we all did the things we're capable of doing, we would literally astound ourselves. So my question to you, to myself, do I really believe that? Do I really believe that if I started tapping into these hidden resources, I could astonish myself. You could astonish yourself. Next slide. So, do you have a bold dream? So, if you're going to pick out one of these things, Jim Collins calls them a big, hairy, audacious goal. A good criteria is, does it energize you? Do you wake up in the morning thinking about it, contemplating it, getting excited about doing that? Some days I get up and what I'm working on is maybe a chapter, maybe even just part of a chapter of a book. And the question is, does it energize you? Are you excited about it? Are you looking forward to it? Well, all of that has to do with attitude and attributing meaning to it. The next question is it frightening enough? So if it's not frightening enough, it's probably not big enough goal. You don't have a big enough why yet, because if you're going to live passionately, you're going to take some chances. You're going to take some risks. And that's why you need some courage to make it happen. And even if it doesn't happen, the process is everything. Because in the process, you're becoming a better person. In the process, you're having a great experience. And so is it frightening enough? Does it give you a sense of adventure? So we might go to the opposite side. If you had no fears about doing whatever it is that you're thinking about doing, no constraints, what would you do? If you doubled your boldness, what would you do? So we're working on, first of all, catching the dream that you'd like to fulfill in 2024. Our next slide. So that's the dream side. Now we go to the performer side. You got to take action. And so once again, back to the well-formed outcome questions. Question 7, what do you have to do to get what you want? So you always have to do something. And the question is what? And this is where the activity comes in, the transformation occurs, the synergy occurs as you transform the meaning into behavior. So actions required. And the best thing is to develop in yourself a bias for action, having a bias that I'm not going to have a great thought without turning it into doing something about it. I'll never leave the scene of a decision without some commitment to make it happen in the real world. Because the bottom line truth is, if you're not taking action, you're not going to get results. No action, no results. So without action, nothing happens. And if nothing happens, then dreaming is all you're doing, and it's going to be quite insufficient. You've probably heard Thomas Edison's quotation, genius is 10% inspiration. There's the dreaming, 90% perspiration. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some action. We're going to have to get off our rear ends, get out of the chair, get off the couch, and now take some action. So what action can you take today for health and fitness? What action can you take today that's going to create better health and well-being? What action could you take today that's going to make you a better parent or more successful as a partner in a marriage? So what action? And this is where baby steps are just so important. Just a small step. And if you stop discounting and if you start counting, like every single step counts, then you start that momentum as you move. Our next slide. Here's a quotation, and it's going to be 2 slides here. It's a long quotation from Cote. He says, until you're committed, there's going to be hesitancy, a chance to drop back, ineffectiveness. So concerning all acts of initiative, that is taking action, there is one elemental truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. The moment you commit yourself to something, providence moves too. So our next slide. What he means by providence is that all sorts of things occur to help you that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events, issues from that decision you've made, raising in your favor all kinds of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamed would have come his way. That's what he means by providence. So whatever you do or dream, you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius. Boldness has power. Boldness has magic in it. So begin it now. So if you're a procrastinator, you might want to take a picture of that and put it on your mirrors. Boldness has genius and power and magic in it. So begin it now. Get off your ass and take action on it, no matter how small the thing is. I think a lot of us, when we go for trying to be successful, we make it too big. And so then we procrastinate because we're not ready yet. And we've got to learn something else instead of taking that action. The boldness is to cure your fear of failure. Well, what if I fail? Well, what if you fail? Hopefully you'll learn something and do it better. So boldness. Our next slide. I've mentioned momentum, and here's the secret of momentum. Momentum is the key to ongoing success and productivity. Momentum. So whatever you started, whatever you've begun, just stay with it, because that momentum is the key. If you're going to start a health and fitness program this year, just get started, even if it's 5 minutes. Do 5 minutes. Do some setups in 5 minutes or a push-up in 5 minutes. The momentum is what's the important thing. And so the Nike quotation, just do it, or Jean-Luc Picard of the Starship Enterprise, who says, engage, make it so. And all of this is that initiative, that movement. And so we're moving from the product thinking, which means focusing on the end product, to process thinking. And when you can shift your thinking this way, this is really the secret of people who succeed. The fun is in the journey. They have fun going along the process, because the process is what counts. Whether we actually reach the end, we don't have any guarantees of tomorrow. But if you're thinking in terms of process, then the fun is in the process. Our next slide. So here, make it personal now. What is the smallest tangible step that you can take towards your goal this week? So let's say you set a goal that you're going to read some of the NLP books, or NeuroSemantic books. The smallest goal may be, I'm going to read one page. Well, would one page count? Well, it starts that momentum. Read one page and reflect on it. Write some notes on it. What have you learned? What are you taking away? One small step. What would be one thing that you could do that would begin the magic of momentum for you? And so it could be the actual step that you're doing. It could be planning for that step. It could be talking to someone about it, announcing that you're going to do it. And this is how we make it personal. If you're a coach and you're wanting to create a coaching program, but you never coached anybody, what's the smallest step? Well, the small step might be, today I'm going to talk to one person about my coaching and what I do, and invite them. Maybe that'd be step number 2. Tomorrow I'm going to invite them to do a coaching session with me. So next slide. Dare to be daring. Far better to dare mightily, far better to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to rank among the poor spirits who neither enjoy nor suffer much, because they live in the gray twilight that knows neither victory nor defeat. So dare to be daring. Next slide. So coming back to our self-actualization quadrants, we have the vertical quadrant for meaning and knowing. And if you get up in there and you're not doing, then you're in that dreaming quadrant. The performance quadrant moves out. And so in the middle, and those lines of arrows, is the zone where we synergize the meaning and performance, pulling it together. And that's the key. A little bit of knowing, a little bit of doing, a little more of knowing, a little more of doing. And then you're in the zone, and that's where the flow begins to occur. Next slide. And just another picture of this synergizing of meaning and performance. This is the key to closing the knowing-doing gap. A little bit of each. Next slide. So our third point, our third step in this ultimate success factor, success formula, is after we have a dream and we've chosen a dream and we're dreaming that dream and we're beginning to take action, now it's striving persistently. In fact, becoming a Kaizen striver, just continuous improvement. With the being goals especially, the more you fulfill that goal and fulfill that skill, the more capacity arises. So that's what Micheal said, that the musician who is striving for developing musical skill, the more musical capacity and skill that the person develops, the more capacity for it. And that's where that continuous discontent occurs. So there's going to be that more, in the focus on the joy of striving forward. And so striving persistently, keeping a scorecard helps us to see the progress we're making, and it helps us answer the question, how am I doing? And how do I know? And so getting the feedback and keeping score and seeing that it's moving forward. That's why the benchmarking in coaching and in training helps us to see, well, I'm moving a little bit higher, a little bit more, a little bit more. And here's the next piece to continue that journey. So the joy is the journey itself. The joy is the journey itself. And when you know that, then it'll be much easier for you to strive in a persistent way. Next slide. So once again, the self-actualization quadrants, getting into that zone and just continuing in that zone, just little bit by little bit by little bit. You might want to take a picture of that and put it in your mind. So I know this, I'm doing that. And as you keep doing that, it gives you that sense that you are moving forward into quadrant 4, where you're self-actualizing whatever that talent is that you're going after. Next slide. Persistence. If you're committed to never give up, then it's just a question of persistence. And so in the field of wealth creation, this was the discovery of some of the first people who modeled wealth creation. They said that they went after those people who had created first generation wealth, and we're talking millions and millions of dollars, and they were looking for what's that talent that they've got. And regardless of the field that they were in which they created products and services that brought them a fortune, the final conclusion was there is no single trait in any of those wealth creators, except they just kept at it. They never gave up. They persisted. The only discernible trait in them. And that's true for probably every single field, whether it's an Olympic athlete or anybody else, it's persistence. And persistence means resilience, so that when you do get knocked down, you just get up, persisting with it. Our next slide. So the fourth step is, and this is long-term thinking, once you have a dream and you're taking action and you're staying with it persistently, start thinking about legacy. What is the legacy I'm leaving? What is the contribution I'm making long-term, not only for myself, but for all of the people I'm touching? Here's another longer quotation, and it's about legacy. George Bernard Shaw says, "This is the true joy of life, being used for a purpose recognized by yourself as a mighty one, being a force of nature." So there's that purpose, there's that dream. What's your dream? What's your purpose? Instead of, here's the contrast, a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy. So how many people live their life with those two lines? Selfish little clod of ailments and grievances and complaining that the world won't make them happy. He says, I'm of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community, to humanity. And as long as I live, it's my privilege to do, here's the doing, the performance, to do whatever I can. He says, I want to be thoroughly used up when I die. This is that long-term vision. This is that legacy. I'm going to be thoroughly used up when I die. For the harder I work, the more I live. Have you had that experience? The harder you work, the more passionate you are in pursuing whatever it is that the goal is, the more passionate you are, the more you're alive. He says, I rejoice in life for its own sake. Then he says, life for me is no brief candle. He says, it's a more like a splendid torch that I get to hold for the moment. And I want to make it burn as brightly as possible. before handing it over to the next generation. So there's that sense of legacy. So aim for legacy. Next slide. What will your legacy be? You could be a great example. You could pass on your love and compassion, pass on your knowledge and skills as you mentor. So what will your legacy be? Robert F. Kennedy said, every time a man stands up for an ideal or acts to improve the lot of other people or strikes out against injustice, he sends forth a tiny ripple of hope. He sends out a tiny ripple of hope, crossing each other from a million different centers of energy and daring. These ripples build into a current that can sweep away the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance. Next slide. Time for our questions.
Thank you, Michael, for that. Whoa, so many questions up here. So before we go to the breakout rooms, I'd like to open up the main room with, say, 3 questions before we go. So anyone would like to ask any questions?
I have one, Zurki. Okay. Michael, you said about that for action is required that we develop a bias of action, right? Okay.
Right.
And I heard you saying that the meta-program counting is important because so we start counting any small action and then we build this. Okay. To build this bias for action, is there another component or things that you could give for us? Because I think this is something I need. I am in the process, okay, to count, to start counting and to move to action. Because always a question I do to myself is, I don't know how to start. I don't know how to do this. So I am imagining that I need to develop this bias. Any other thing you could teach me?
So I would recommend a decision.
Decision.
That you activate the executive part of your mind that makes up your mind. And it's like that, from this day forward, whenever I know something to do, I'm going to do it. From this day forward, when I see something that I did, it's going to count. And so that decision, and that's what in some of the quotations I read, that's that commitment. That when a person makes a commitment, and it's one of the highest executive functions in our brain, in the prefrontal cortex, that when you make a decision, watch out world, things are going to happen. And so the decision can be as simple as, today I'm going to count 5 things that count, and do that. The interesting thing is that if you did that, if you said, today I'm going to count 5 things, and tomorrow I'm going to count 5 things, and the next day, after 20 or 30 days, it's going to be automatic. It'll just be automatic. You won't have to think about it anymore. And the same thing with an action bias. Every day I'm going to do something about my coaching, something about my health. And once again, if you say three actions today, and then you feel that sense of success, and it's building that momentum. And then it becomes automatic, and then you're a person who takes action.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
It's so simple, but okay. Thank you, Mazurki.
Right. There's a question in the chat room. It says, so what if the burning question is this? What is my sacred calling or life purpose? What is my soul purpose in this life?
So I think let's change that question. What could be 10 things I could give myself to? So the question, as it's stated, sounds outside in. Let's change the question to inside out. What are 10 things I could invest myself into? The word interest, est is to exist inside. So when you take interest, you're putting yourself inside of something. When I first started wealth creation through real estate, I was not much interested in the process. I was interested in the product. I wanted to create some passive income. But I got interested over a period of time in real estate. Now, my first thought was real estate. Why? I'm not interested in real estate. I'm interested in psychology and people and relationships. But the more I put myself into it, I got more interested. The more interested I got, I became fairly skilled at how to handle it. So the question would be, what are 10 things I could take interest in, I could put myself into? And then out of that, you'll discover your spiritual purpose, your ultimate goal. So the danger of some questions is that the question itself is almost unanswerable. And the way that one was stated really is an unanswerable question, because it's like you're waiting for the heavens to open and suddenly the divine message comes down and this is your purpose on planet Earth. Well, let's take some more responsibility. What are some opportunities around me that I could invest myself into and make the world a better place?
Thank you. Anyone else has got another question? One more question. So there's a question from Sandra. When you do get knocked down, just get up. What is the interplay of self-efficacy in resilience?
Well, yeah, so just get up. Self-efficacy is your ability to trust yourself that you're going to handle it. And so by developing different confidences in your ability to speak, your ability to relate, your ability to do different things, the more confidence you develop in different skills, then the more you can trust. If I get knocked down in this way or that way, I know how to talk to people. I know how to relate to people. I know how to read, to study, to gain information, to act on information. And that's what we call self-efficacy, that you have that sense, I can handle it. And it takes a number of years. I don't know how many years in adult life it takes before we develop a good, solid sense of self-efficacy. It's a process. That might be the goal that you set this year. I am going to increase the quality of my self-efficacy, trust myself. And if there's blocks in the way of trusting yourself, then that's where coaching can really clear out those blocks.
Mm.
Because some people may have a message deep inside, don't trust yourself. If your parents didn't know Parenting 101 and they kept saying, who do you think you are? Then you might need to clean some of that out so that you do take ownership of the fact that you have the right to think and feel and speak and do.
Right. Thank you, Michael. So let's move on to the next segment, which is the discussions in the breakout room. So you are going to have fun in the breakout room with the discussion. Before you do that, I've just sent to the chat room the questions that we'll be using in the breakout rooms. There'll be 2 breakout rooms. So the first, in the first discussion, these are the questions that you'll be using. So I'm just allowing you to download the questions for your reference when you go into the breakout room. The first question is, what music do you have inside you that you have not yet expressed? If you were to begin letting that music out, if you were to act on your best dreams, what goal would you set for 2024? Second question is, knowing what you want, what you really, really want, is not easy. Which area in the wheel of life may be the area for you to explore this week? Work, career, family, children, mate, health, wellness, fitness, income, saving, investing, hobby, contribution, spirituality. And the third question is, do you have a stretch goal for 2024? What is it? Goals can be learning goals, experiencing goals, and or achievement goals. So those are the questions that you'll be having fun with when you go into the chat room, into the breakout room. So let me just set out the breakout room so that there'll be about 5 to 6 people per room. So assign automatically. Yeah, create. Okay, recreate that. Okay, over here, there'll be 5 to 6 participants per room, and you'll be in the room for about 12 minutes, and then we'll meet up in the main room. So now the breakout rooms are open, so just click to go to your room, and I'll see you here in 12 minutes time. Yes, the people are coming in. And how was the discussion in your room, Henrik?
It was very nice. Speaking about the goals, the wellness goals, the family goals, the fitness goals. Very nice. Yeah.
What's your number one goal?
Well, I think that organizing a training is my number one goal right now.
Okay.
Yeah, this year to really do what's necessary for that to really happen myself. Yeah.
Good. And I'd like to invite 1 or 2 or 3 of you just to share what's your takeaway from your breakout room, something that you discussed in your breakout room. Who would like to start?
Okay, I can go, Mizuki.
Yes, please, Bruno.
Bruno speaking. So for me, the takeaway is that having to think about, I like that question, what music do you have in your heart? And as I shared, I want to learn a new language, and the one I wanted to learn is Hindi. Because in Mauritius we do watch indie films, but I don't understand not so much the language. I even bought on Udemy a lesson. I think it was 2 years back. And while Michael was starting today, I went back and got the login because I bought it and I never started. So, but now in fact, I'm reminded of that, and it's for me a challenge also. So my takeaway is that this session has helped me reconnect with a dream, reconnect with something I wanted. And for that, I'm really grateful.
Thank you, Bruno. Thank you. And may I invite one other person to share what's your takeaway or something that you discuss in your breakout room?
I have a question from the breakout room. Is that one of the students asked, she has many small goals. The problem is that she doesn't have big goals or big dreams, like the music going together. You know, she doesn't know the music she has. So she wants to ask Michael, is it that for this big dream, does she consolidate? It's kind of like merging all these small goals and to come up with the big dreams, or how could she find her big dreams? She has many small goals, but she doesn't have big dreams. So, so, so how to solve this thing? So this is the question she has. Okay.
Thank you.
I would recommend take one of the small goals and dive deeply into it and see how big it can become.
Oh.
Most big things come out of small distinctions or small awarenesses or whatever. So, for instance, kind of stepping on, building on what Bruno just said, suppose your goal is to learn another language. So you learn another language, then you find out that you can now speak to people you never could speak to, and maybe do some coaching in that language that you never could. And it might build and build and build. I think the wrong thing is trying to look for the big thing. Look for the little thing, invest it with lots of meaning, and let it grow.
Thank you, Michael. And Siu Hong, do you want to ask your question that's in the chat room?
Okay, I just finished translating. Okay, all right. So Michael, I have another question. Is that I have so many different goals, and I just felt that I don't have time to finish all these goals, but I want to finish them. And in the end, when I work on one, I kind of like I have to stop because I thought that there's a second one, and then there's a third one. So I have so many coming out, and in the end, I have nothing being done. So what kind of belief should I have for myself to stick to one? And I know that this one may take 1 year or 2 years, and the second one will have to wait for another 3, 4 years to come. So any belief that could help me with this one here, to stick to one?
Well, I'd have to know more details, but it sounds like patience might be something to develop. Don't try to go for everything right now. Just do it. Build the foundation. Most people enjoy life much more by doing fewer things with more quality. I learned that when I, as a single parent, was raising my daughter Jessica. There was lots of things that I had to do as a parent if I was going to be present to her when she was in grade school and high school. There were a lot of things. I didn't do any traveling those days. I wanted to travel and train, but I didn't. So I just, when she's out of school, then I will do that. This is a time to be present to her. So it may be patience. It may be cutting all the goals in half. Do just half of the goals instead of all of them. Sometimes we take on way too much, we're way too busy, we're stressed out, and whatever we're doing, we do insufficiently and ineffectively. So once again, start small and do whatever you do and do it with some quality so that you enjoy it. And we call that time management, but it's not time management. It's managing yourself in time.
Thank you, Michael, for that distinction. So with that, let's move to our next discussion. And I'm putting on the screen here the questions that you'll be discussing in the breakout room. The first question that you'll be discussing in the second breakout room will be, what did you learn about momentum? How okay are you with building up momentum and thinking in terms of momentum instead of results? The second one is, what do you need to do to get yourself in the zone whereby you actualize an activity that's important to you? And the third one is, what are you taking away from the idea of striving persistently about leaving a legacy? So those are the three questions that you'll be discussing in the next breakout room. So let me just schedule the breakout room again. About 6 people to a room, and I'll see you in about 12 minutes time. So see you soon and enjoy yourself. Hi, everyone. Hi, Sandra. Glad to see you able to join us. You sent me the email at the last minute. And glad to see, Tessie, that you're able to join us. Right. So welcome back to the main room. And I'd like to invite 1, 2, or 3 of you to share what was your takeaway from your discussion just now. So go ahead, unmute the mic, identify yourself, and continue. So who would like to start first?
Okay, me.
I like to start.
Oh, sorry. Who is that?
This is Gada Yasmin.
Okay, go ahead.
As we were discussing the questions, we raised an issue, and I'd like to know, let's say, to share anybody's idea about it. Whenever we want to start, let's say, to set up a goal and to start a momentum, how about if we want, let's say, to quit something like smoking, sugar, anything else, and we don't have a passion, because Michael said that we should have a passion in order to enjoy the goal that we are going to do, right? So how can we compensate for this? Where do we get the passion from? Thank
Well,
you.
the passion could be a passion away from.
This
So-
is what we got at the end, but I wanted to know what your idea.
Yeah. So if I was a smoker and I was going to stop smoking or slow down smoking, my goal might be to have pink lungs. And I might imagine fresh pink lungs like the lungs of a baby. It takes 7 years for that to happen once a person quits smoking, so that the darkness and the smoke-filled lungs starts to become pink again. And so now the passion is to have clean breathing and more thorough breathing. And so
Do you think that pink lungs motivate the person more than?
Well, it would me.
My question is, do you think for you, but those who grab a cigarette box every day where it's written it causes cancer or it causes anything else, and they grab it all the time, do you think that the pink lungs will motivate such a person?
I don't know. You and I are
breathing.
And they could give it that meaning if they wanted to.
Mm.
Some of the literature on smoking years ago showed a black lung and a pink lung and said, if you're smoking, this is what your lung looks like. And if you're not smoking, this is what it's going to look like. Away from and toward. And helping people to build meaning
Mm.
is what we do. We help people build meanings about. So at first they may not be meaningful or passionate, but you can build it.
Thank you, Michael.
Wait. Thank you.
Here's another one I would use to a smoker. Here's a series of steps in a hotel. I want you to walk up those steps, and so the person will maybe just 5 steps, and maybe they work a whole level. How many steps can you climb before you're out of breath? Set your goal. If you can climb, let's say somebody can climb 15 steps. Okay, set your goal for 16. Set your goal for 17. Now set it for 20. Because 20 steps is going to indicate you have more fitness and your well-being is increasing. So is that important to you? What if every step that you can go up adds another month to your life? Good quality to your life. So we can make meaning, and helping people construct meaning so it's meaningful and significant is what we're all about.
Yep, yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Xiu Hong?
There's a question from the group. 我现在帮他回答问你的问题。Is this legacy also considered as the self-actualization pyramid is reaching the top in order to become a legacy? This is the question from the student.
Well, a legacy is the result. So when you're all done and when you're gone, what's left? So what's your legacy? So it could be products that you've created. It could be businesses that you've created, homes that you've created. It could be the memories that you leave with people. So a legacy is when I think about so-and-so, I feel, I remember, I learned, and we touch people's lives. And you're going to leave a legacy whether you know it or not, whether you're intentional or not. The question is it a good quality legacy? Is it So ask the question, what do you want written on your tombstone? That's your legacy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And may I invite just one more? One more. Going, gone. In that case, I'd like to thank all of you.
Sorry.
Oh, Bruno, you have something?
Well, I just wanted to share in our group one thing that came up was patience with ourselves and being kind to ourselves when we set goals, because we were free in the group, I think each of us mentioned that. So
Right.
just wanted to share.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So before we end, I'd like to invite Michael just to wrap up the presentation and what we have discussed for today. Go ahead, Michael.
Deep inside every single one of us is a drive. We want to be successful. We want to be successful in the things that we care about, that's important to us, our lives, our health, our families, the contribution that we do, our work. We want to be successful. And there's a way to be successful, and there's a way to really mess it up. A lot of people have messed up the way to be successful. They try for too much, they're too critical, they discount, they never get started, they bite off things that don't fit for who they are. You and I, as neurosemanticists, we really know how to help people become more successful. And we want people to be successful. It's a great feeling to feel I'm succeeding in what's important to me. And sometimes we have to say no to the world. It's not about money, it's not about status, it's not about fame. It's about enjoying your life and feeling like you're making a difference for the people around you. And so if we can get that message out, and if we can start living that way, I think we'll make a big difference in the world.
Thank you, Michael. That's wonderful thought for us to bring into the months to come for 2024. Wonderful start. So again, thank you. Let's give Michael a big hand for this presentation. And before we end, just one announcement that I would like to make, and that is, two announcements. One is that our next NeuroSemantics Wisdoms will be on the 10th of February. So that will be the date for our next Wisdoms. And also the NeuroSemantics Trainers Training in Malaysia, in Putrajaya, that will be from the 18th of May to the 1st of June. And for those who have signed up for it, and I'm looking at Ines there, we'll be meeting on the 27th of January for a teaser, so to speak, about what to expect for NSTT. So with those two announcements, before we end, time for our photo session.
Marzuki, I'm sorry, can I disturb you? You said that February the 10th is the next seminar?
Yes.
Oh, because it's Chinese New Year, so I was just wondering.
February the 10th is Chinese New
We'll
Year.
celebrate
So
Chinese New Year.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
big day. It's a big day for Chinese New Year.
So I was
Okay.
wondering.
Okay,
Okay.
then we'll discuss in the team and decide on a new date. Oh yes, Chinese New Year. 恭喜发财. Okay. So with that, thank you, Seo Hong, for pointing it out. I'll discuss with the leadership team if we want to get another date for it. And before we end, let's take photographs together. So please turn on your video. Yay! Get your makeup done. And are you ready or not? So let's take the first one. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I've got the first one, and I'm going to the second board. And ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we've got pictures there. And everyone, thank you very much for being here. Really appreciate your presence. Your being here makes the discussion all that much more interesting and meaningful. So I look forward to meeting all of you in our next meeting. And to close it off, I'm Marzuki. I'm a NeuroSemantics trainer and meta coach, and I wish you an exceptional quality of life filled with happiness, creativity, and fulfillment. Until we meet again, good night, good afternoon, good morning. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.